Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. With these ancient prayers for peace, we begin this evening's special program that celebrates the 74th Independence Day of India. May there be peace in our nation and across the world. May there be peace in every continent, in every heart, in every home. Because the essence of India is founded on peace. As we celebrate the Independence Day in the presence of His Excellency Dr. Aman Puri, the Consul General of India to Dubai, also in the honored and most revered presence of the Chairman Suresh Kumar of IBPC and Secretary General Honorable Dilip Sinha, and so many of you whom I have known personally, some whose home I have personally visited, others whom I have met occasionally, and there are also those whom I consider as my deep friends because of the great support that you have been giving throughout your time. While we celebrate the Independence Day, this morning during my morning worship, I had a thought that we celebrate Independence Day because India gained freedom in 1947. But freedom from what? Freedom from rulers who actually ruled over us. Freedom to give us that ability to become independent and no longer dependent. But one thing all of us should know, that while we still feel that we may be in the shadows of that era, we must also consider world history. Human history for the last almost 2,000 years tells us, and these are historians and researchers that have told us, that for almost 1700 years in the history of humanity, India was perhaps the richest, most able, most competent nation on this world. Not only that, while we celebrate 74 years of our independence, we must also understand that for almost 85% of world history, the world was dependent upon us. We cannot forget the glorious past that makes our present. And our pride in our present will also form our future. When we see and hear often that on that fateful night, it is often said, when the world sleeps, India awakes. What is meant by those words? So many interpretations can be put into those words, but I personally feel that India awakes only when Indians awake. A nation cannot be measured by its size or the population, but it is often measured by the quality and character and caliber of the people. A nation awakes only when the people awake. And which other country has the values, the wisdom, and the vision of an ancient culture which encompasses the entire humanity? We have grown up on the values of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. Yes, we know that India is one of the largest countries in the world, which is a home to 1/5 of the world population. Facts tell us that from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, in country, as a size we measure almost 3.2 million kilometers square. And it's a home to almost 1.3 billion people. But that is not enough. A country is actually evaluated by the quality and the values of the people. Though we have borne invasion after invasion, we still have in our heart the ideal of Atithi Devo Bhava, treat guests as gods. These are the values that give depth to the culture that we possess. Of course, our ability to coexist, our ability to nourish every form of thought, every form of culture, every ideology and philosophy has given birth to 4 major religions of the world. And yet, it has given a home to all religions of the world. The beauty of India is not just unity in diversity. The beauty of India is elegance in diversity. What do I mean by that? Find me one nation on this earth which has 22 distinct languages with different scripts and almost 20,000 dialects and mother tongues, and yet it exists as a single nation. We have the ability to transcend the borders that separate us. Actually, we have the ability to dream of a world as a whole family. And as we celebrate the Independence Day, the way that we should awaken ourselves is not because of the rights that we have, but the responsibilities that we should have. Those of our forefathers who were involved in the independence struggle, they never clamored and they never hungered for rights. They created a culture of responsibilities. Every man on the street, every man in office, every leader and every supporter, they loved the country that we have. A struggle which gave birth to independent India continues to shape and script the future of India. In those times, people united, irrespective of caste, creed, community, or culture. Even today, our country is one, irrespective of religion, region, and resources. When we are one, in mind and heart, there is nothing that can stop our nation growing. We still look back at history. During those times when India was ruled, there were leaders who made remarks that India can never govern herself and Indians can never govern their nation. But as a stark reminder, those are the same nations where today people of Indian origin sit in seats of power to actually govern those nations. Not only governing different governments across continents. Look around the world. Some of the most important organizations, multinationals, institutions, which actually dominate and carve out the path for the future of the world are headed by people of Indian origins. We take pride because of the values and the vision and the culture that has created us. Once again, I would like to add, it is not just India, but Indians across the world, they are celebrating the country that we belong to. More importantly, when we talk about a developed India, a great nation that can bring light and life for other nations to follow, what better example than Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam? Even when he was the most loved president of India, and also while he was the chief scientific advisor to the Prime Minister of India, Dr. Kalam, a leading scientist who not only detonated India's first atomic bomb, but he was the head of DRDO. He had come with an amazing plan to His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj. He was a scientist and he approached a spiritual saint. Imagine the stark differences, completely diametrical. Dr. Kalam had been awarded 46 PhDs from universities across the world. His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj had hardly passed the 7th standard. Dr. Kalam could only speak in English and not in Gujarati. His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj could not speak a word of English. Both of them from different fields, with different backgrounds, and obviously different religions. He was a profound Muslim. Swami Shri was a Hindu leader. And yet, they rose beyond the borders that seemingly divide smaller people. They transcended everything and became the best of friends. As Dr. Kalam, in all humility, laid open a blueprint of developing India, he said, how can by 2020 India become a developed nation and also a great nation? He said almost 500 thinkers from various fields, whether they are scientists, economists, accountants, sports people, educationists, managers, whether they are architects, engineers, even writers, even actors, people from different fields who matter in those fields had gathered together for almost 1 year and discussed in which 5 fields India should develop to become a great nation. He identified one by one. Just think prophetically. This was for 2020. He said that India should grow in number 1, health and education. India should develop in number 2, information technology and communication. India should develop in infrastructure. Number 4, agriculture. And number 5, he said, critical technology. Technologies like nanotechnology, technologies like genetic engineering, making of vaccines, making of artificial intelligence. Dr. Kalam laid bare a plan which would really take India to the future. And it is at that time that His Holiness very gently said that add a 6th, something is missing in your master plan. The 6th is faith in God. As a scientist, he was puzzled and he thought how faith in God will help develop a nation. That's when His Holiness Pramukh Swami clarified. He said, the value of a nation cannot be measured by its size, cannot be measured by its infrastructure, the type of roads or buildings, cannot be measured by the technology that it has, and cannot be measured by the achievements or success it makes. The value of a nation, the true worth of a nation, has to be measured by the character and caliber and culture of its people. Until we develop people, you can have the best nation with the worst population. First grade technology by third grade human beings. Developing human beings is the greatest worth of a country. And that can be done through morality and spirituality. When people, through their own morals and spiritual values, become better human beings, the nation will be valued beyond belief. To become a great nation, we should develop our people. That's when Dr. Kalam took this idea, and as the president, wherever he traveled, he mentioned that developing a country through culture, morality, and spirituality is equally important. So as we stand as an independent India that is growing leaps and bounds, we must also understand that one of the greatest values that our nation teaches each one of us is of coexistence, of harmony, of loving each other no matter what. When this value is imbibed, we will grow as human beings. Dr. Kalam also mentioned that while you are making Akshardham one of the largest Hindu temples, what is the single message that every visitor should take back? It surprised me, because we were the makers, we were the thinkers, and we had never thought about one single message that every person should take back. And he very gently said, with amazing love for our nation, he said every Indian who enters Akshardham should emerge out as a proud Indian. He should become proud of our nation. That is the greatest gift you can give everybody. So of course we are a nation of 1.3 billion people, but let us become a nation of 1.3 billion people who take pride in India. When will we be able to take pride in our country? When we do India proud by the life that we have. Imagine, you might think that what role would you and I and all of us in general can play in generating the pride for India, generating the love for India as a nation. The only answer which I can give you lies in the words of Swami Vivekananda. When he was traveling across the world, and one woman of American descent, she was so fascinated and so mesmerized by the talks and by the character and the personality of Vivekananda Swami, she kept writing letters to him. And in one of the letters she said, "Oh Vivekanandaji, you are so fascinating, so enlightened, that I have fallen in love with you. I love you." To her he wrote that first love India, only then you'll be able to love me. If each one of us think of this, whether you're a spiritual man, whether you're a businessman, whether you're a student or a housewife, whether you're perhaps a retired person, your and my worth, your and my love depends on how much we can help others fall in love with our nation and our culture. I think this is a universal message. When we take pride in our nation, we have to live a life that gives pride to our nation. So celebrating independence is not just about celebrating a day of freedom, but celebrating a day of greater responsibility. And in the UAE, what better nation to celebrate the unity between not just our nation amongst ourselves, but the unity amongst countries. As the UAE and India enjoy hundreds of years of special bonds and friendship, which has been taken to a new level when His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, and our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, they met not just for trade, but for an exchange of culture and spiritual values. The temple that is coming up in Abu Dhabi, it is a generous gift from the rulers of this nation. It is a gift not just to some individuals or institution, it is a gift to India, our community, our culture, and our nation. When they have gone out of their way to not just give support, but to create a spiritual oasis for global harmony, the first traditional Hindu temple in the history of the Middle East. Imagine 10,000 years of Indian art and craft that actually portray the values of all cultures and religions and the value tales of ancient wisdom. Imagine a revival of not just values but art, not just forms but prayers. The temple is a result of our forefathers who had been continually praying for something like this to happen, and it's also there for the future of our culture and community and our country. Friendship is something that each one of us values. So the temple is not just a temple of stone, but a temple that has life in stone, that has emotions, that is done by voluntary spirit and with the support of not just leaders but community at large. So many of you have come forward to lend support. It can only be done through the support of each and every one. It is not just a house of worship, but there will be special halls for the community to gather together. There will be a library. There's special places to have prasad. There's going to be an exhibition on beautiful borderless world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. There'll be spaces and places for each and every one of us for hundreds of years to come. This is a unique gift, not just by the rulers of the UAE, but also by the leaders and the community of our country to the UAE. It is an addition to the skyline, a permanent place for us to go forth. Imagine when the simple immigrants who gifted the nation of America the Statue of Liberty as a token of their gratitude. They never knew that they were giving a nation an identity. When all of us can gather together to give something back to a country that has gifted each one of us so much, it is not just our responsibility, but I believe it is our duty towards our future generation to celebrate the friendship, the love, and the growth of two countries together in unison. The temple and the volunteers and all the supporters are not just celebrating culture and spirituality, but a huge social responsibility. Even during these times of COVID, through the generous support of the community at large, we were able to serve our country in times of need. As we celebrate the 74th Independence Day of India in the UAE, remarkably, it makes one wonder. Imagine a Muslim king donating land to a Hindu temple where one of our lead architects is a Christian Catholic, where our lead consultant is a Chinese with no religion but just love for the project, where our chief project manager is a Sikh, where our contractors are Shapurji Palanji, Parsis, and where our detailing team are CEC, a complete gathering of special calibered engineers. We feel that the BAPS Hindu temple is emerging as a perfect symbol of love, harmony, and tolerance. We seek everybody's love and prayers. We also seek everybody's support for this unique project that will actually take our country and culture to new heights of friendship. On this special Independence Day, we continue to say prayers, and with all selflessness and all love, they may God Almighty and all the grace of all the spiritual leaders of this world, may we be blessed with better times. May our health remain well. May your businesses grow beyond your imagination. May this nation, the UAE, and our nation, India, may they scale higher and higher heights. May the economies grow, and may the world become free of the shadow of the pandemic. May our love and our hope help us prevail over everything. Today, these are my prayers for each one of you, many of you whom I hold as the dearest friends. May God bless us all, and may our friendship last longer than our lives. Thank you.